Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The months since I transferred in had been almost too much fun. And that was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. And I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. The bell rang, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which had felt so tense, yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join in to the club activities, I promptly started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapped my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading towards the entrance. Alright, well, another day, I guess. I was assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and the tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. I guess now with the discussion that we had in the morning, I guess we should expect Oishi to also get killed eventually. But deep down inside me, far beneath, in the recesses of my heart, achingly, I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. I really don't like it when you talk like that, Keiichi. I couldn't tell how the ending would be. Whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless, in my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? Yeah. Good questions. The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answers. Or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? Oh, Higurashis, if you were able to talk to us, what would you say to us? Would you be able to help us? Or are you against us? Somewhere, mixed in with their shrieks, Mitake-san and Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. I simply haven't been able to realize it yet. But one thing is for sure. It does feel like we, Keiichi, and me, we are part of a huge machination that is unimaginable to us. It's kind of like how you start Yumineko, like in episode 1. You cannot even imagine what happens past that. Once again, I do wonder how deep the rabbit hole is gonna be here. And we only starting to go, like right now, deep inside. Glancing down at my feet, I saw Higurashi on its back, spasming weakly. Oh? Uh, Are you okay, little guy? Wee, 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 wee. There was still much less summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying, no matter how hard I listened. But I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. Alright, well, let's get into our knees right over here. Hey there, Higurashi. Are you... are you suffering? At the moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at once. No. As if they huddled together, fearing that the person who brought them to their dreadful fate had arrived. Just imagine. It's like one of, like Stephen, well, not Stephen Spielberg, Stephen Hawking. No, wait, no, not Stephen Hawking. Stephen King. There you go. I keep I keep confusing like the Stephens and such. Stephen King Like it is one of his movies. Like you watch that particular movie. Like there is this one movie with a plane, I think it was. I don't remember the details, but like at the end, it is revealed what was causing like the suffering that had occurred throughout the movie, like what caused like the weird stuff happening. Like it revealed the monsters and such. Maybe it's gonna be similar to this. Maybe the source of all this is like an infestation of Higurashis. The Higurashis are the killers, like all along, and eventually they're gonna jump at Keiichi and they're gonna eat him alive. That is how this is gonna end. That would be just crazy. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was also almost non-existent. If the Higurashi hadn't warned me by ending their chirping, I wouldn't have known. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat. In this place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all my senses. I was just barely able to hold back the creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment, when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly among the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Alright. If you are with us, Higurashi, please help us. Don't give away our location. Could I get them to pass by me? No. Since I was able to hear the footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I hid myself and was holding my breath. The person telling me, was it Rena? Just like yesterday? If it was Rena, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go ahead like yesterday. If it wasn't Rena, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. The footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted the grip on the bat. I could tell that the fear that I had beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could he be? I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. Oh, Rena. My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Rena. It was a bit of a relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. This wasn't the same Rena that I knew. Her eyes were dark and lifeless, but her mouth appeared as if it was carved into a crescent. Yes, it looked like she was grinning slightly. In her right hand was a hatchet. I hid myself behind a tree once again. I recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. Okay. Probably the same hatchet as the one that we had used on Colonel Sanders. This isn't good. What was that just now? The bottom of the tear. A late bear. Baseball. Practicing my swing. There were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat. But for that hatchet? There was no excuse for that. A hatchet. Just like that.
ケイキくん、かくれんぼかな
My heart was pounding. Hard enough that I had trouble breathing. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed. In its place, cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good, not good, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here.
レナを驚かせようとしたのかな
I decided it would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still a space between us, than to allow Rena to come any closer. I adjusted my grip on the bat again, readied myself mentally, and stepped out from behind a tree. Rena was pleased that she found me, eliciting a mysterious giggle. Alright, you found us. What you gonna do next, Rena? Her mouth was smiling. Her eyes told me she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes, they were just so empty. My legs began to quiver. Not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of vicious hot and cold substance began spreading around. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all the organs in my body. Not good. Not good. I'll be devoured by Rena at this rate. Strike back. Don't lose. I blustered, hiding behind my bravado. But Rena didn't flinch one bit.
ケイチ君と同じ。帰り道だよ。
じゃあそのナタは何だよ。
じゃあケイチ君のそのバットは何なのかな。
俺は素振りで。
I mean, what about you? Like, a part of me thinks that maybe you are going out there to find some more stuff at the junkyard and you needed to hatch it again. Although, would you really think about all that stuff during this situation, Rena?
じゃあレナは宝探しなの。
Yeah, again, I'm asking, would you really think of treasure hunting at this point? Rena gave a flippant explanation as to why she had such a fearsome weapon.
宝探し？
ダム現場の宝の山にね、また新しいかいいのを見つけたの。だからね、それを発掘するために必要なの。
信じるかよ、そんなの。
信じないよね。
Rena's laugh was obviously very strange. Yeah, it is a joke that I don't really get, Rena. I'm not laughing. I'd seen Rena's transformation many times before, but the one today was completely different. Like a mischievous tone and a shrewd glint in her eyes. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say. It was just so obvious.
待ってよ、ケイチ君。
Rena didn't stop walking, even as she let out that eerie laugh. Whenever Rena got too close to me, I'd scurry away and turn back towards her. The cycle repeated over and over. Alright. I guess we're playing this kind of game until we go back home. God damn it. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Rena and was trying to escape.
ついてくるなよ。
それはできない相談だよ。レナのうちもこっちだもん。
When I met with Rena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Rena didn't show a hint of trepidation. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? If the way home for Rena and me was the same, that's fine. Let's just change my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? I turned onto a side street I'd never been down and knew a little about. Rena saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Okay, clearly she's not going home. She is just gonna keep following us, isn't she? Why? Why? Aren't you going home? Then just go home down the street you normally do. Why would you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spitting out my mouth.
どうしてついてくるんだよ。
The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror.
ケイチ君とお話ししたいから。ケイチ君もレナとお話ししたいんじゃないかな。
I mean, I would love for us to talk all day about our secrets, but again, it's probably not gonna be as easy as that, is it?
俺は何も話したいことなんかない。
嘘だよね。相談したいこときっとあるはずだよ。
ない。レナと話すことなんか何もないよ。
嘘だよね。
嘘じゃないよ。
嘘だ。
A scream echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. I cringed in fear. The only other thing I could do was increase my pace.
お話ししようよ圭一くん。お話。
Okay. We can talk if you tone down the creepiness. Why was I running down this unfamiliar and deserted street?
圭一くんには悩んでることがあるんじゃないかな。
ないよ。何も悩んでない。嘘だ。
Even though I was running, even though Rena was walking, why wasn't I getting any farther away? Okay. I guess we're hitting maximum. What are we here?
わかるよ。わかる。レナはわかるよ。怖いんだよね、圭一くん。
怖くなんかない。何も怖いことなんか。嘘だ。
My breathing grew heavy and it felt like my legs were giving out from beneath me. I mean, I wasn't even breaking a sweat.
レナだけは相談に乗ってあげられるよ。今度こそ乗ってあげられる。
I had no idea what she was talking about or what exactly she wanted to do.
今度こそ相談に乗ってあげられる。サトシくんの時とは違うもの。
How different? When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. But even as I did that, when I was still advancing, I couldn't afford to stop.
サトシくんも悩んでた。辛そうだった。でもレナは相談に乗ってあげられなかった。とても悲しかった。
What did this street connect to? All these twists and turns, up and downs. It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction had long since gone out the window.
サトシくんが転校しちゃった時ね、本当に後悔したんだよ。
What do you mean by transferred out?
レナが相談に乗ってあげれば、サトシくんは転校せずに済んだかもしれないって。すごく後悔した。
The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting farther away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was still disturbingly calm.
だからね、誓ったの。もしもサトシくんみたいに苦しんでる人にもう一度会えたなら、レナが助けてあげようって。もう人が転校するところは見たくないな。
Well, are you trying to give us like a totally different treatment from the Onikakushi? Damn it! What does transfer even mean? I won't let you transfer me. I won't end up the same as Satoshi.
さあ、ケイチくん、レナに話して。レナはきっとケイチくんを理解してあげられるよ。レナだけはケイチくんの味方。
I started wheezing, out of breath. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they were going to explode, and my heart was beating as hard as it possibly could. I should have practiced running instead of swinging. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought.
悩みがなくなれば、きっとケイチくんも元通り。みんなとも仲良しに戻れて、また楽しく部活ができるよ。今度は一緒に組んでみーちゃんをやっつけようね。
Yeah, how much fun that would be. I couldn't even imagine how much I had wished I could turn back the clock on these past few days.
レナともきっと仲良しに戻れるよ。また一緒に宝探しに行きたいね。今度はお弁当も作っていくよ。なんなら今から宝探しでもいいよ。行こうよ、一緒にダム現場。見つけたばかりのかわいいの、ケイチくんにも見せてあげるね。きっとケイチくんも気に入るよ。
My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds as my legs wobbled and faltered. Hot on my heels, Rena's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Rena. If she caught me, it was all over. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think of what the end would entail. Just that if I was caught, it was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything. Not yet. The momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me, and I crumpled towards the ground. I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Rena was already standing right in front of me. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rena was so cool and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all. Rather, I can even sense if her heart was beating.
何が怖いのかな。怯えるなんてケイチくんらしくないよ。
Her expression looked almost affectionate. And those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. She admonished me for trembling. Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of arms as they moved made me feel as if I was staring at the godlines of the thousand-armed Buddha. Then, as both of her hands met above her head, the hatchet that she held came into focus. I stared at it in disbelief. It was all I could do.
教えてくれ。サトシはどうなったんだよ。
Rena stayed like that, with that hatchet raised above her head, and solemnly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she was never to see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions.
言ったよ。サトシくんは転校したの。
その転校ってのをやめろよ。鬼隠しってことなんだろ。そうだろ。もう教えてくれたっていいだろ。サトシを消したのは誰だよ。レナかミオンか、それとも村の誰かが。答えろよ。
I became frantic the more I screamed. But Rena did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face.
ケイチくんが何を言ってるかわからないな。
じゃあ分かるように言ってやる。連続開始事件の犯人は誰だ。
ケイチくんは勘違いしてるよ。
ね
え？
人間の犯人なんかいない。すべてはお社様が決めることだもの。
お社様のたたりなんてレナは信じてるってのか。
信じるとか信じないとかじゃない。お社様はいるの。
Rena's gaze grew even more gelid. Well, if he does exist, then I'd wish for him to go back to hell. That frosty first stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything.
お社様なんているわけが。
ケイチくんは信じないの？お社様。
信じられるはずないだろ。そんなのいるわけがない。
いるよ、お社様。ケイチくんだって身近に感じてるはずだよ。
そんなもの感じたことないよ。
ケイチくんさ、誰かに謝られたことない？
What?
それもずっと。
Someone apologizing. What does that have to do with Oyashiro? All noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Rena's voice resounded, loudly and terribly.
それはね、許してもらえるまでずっとついてくるの。学校へも、お家へも、枕元へも。
I couldn't understand what Rena was saying.
レナのところへも来たんだよ。 お社様。だからレナは転校してHinamizawaに帰ってきたの。
I don't understand. I don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What was Rena saying?
圭一くんのところにもお社様来てるんじゃない？きっと相談に乗れるのは私だけ。圭一くんを転校なんかさせないからね。
Rena's demented laughter clanged around inside my head. Was Rena saying Oyashiro-sama came to her as well? That's right. Last night I had heard about that when I asked about Rena.
他言無用でお願いします。また内容には一部憶測も含まれているかもしれません。すべてが真実ではないかもしれないということです。よろしいですね。
Ueshi-san began speaking.
被害者も学校も告訴していないので、調書がないのです。つまり、警察が関与してないわけなんですよ。ですから、詳細は関係者からの聞き取りのみなのです。つまり、信憑性が高くない。
被害者って言いましたか？レナはガラスを割っただけじゃないんですか？
いえ、男子生徒が3人ほどリュウグウレナに殴られています。
Huh?
金属バットでです。2人はあざで済みましたが、1人は片目に後遺症を残すほどの大怪我をしたそうです。
それって傷害事件じゃないんですか？警察は逮捕とかしないんですか？
どういうわけか、被害者が告発しないんですよ。警察に届け出がないので。
They were beaten with a bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally there would be a criminal investigation. But why didn't they press charges?
被害者の男子生徒3人にもそれぞれ話を聞こうとしましたが、全員口が重いんです。こう言ってはなんですが、怯えてるんですよ。彼女が転校した今でも。
大石さん、話を最初から整理して話してくれませんか？
Rena hit people while she broke the windows. What was it? She started breaking the windows after she got bored of hitting people. They sounded similar, but the meanings were drastically different.
某月某日、リュウグウレナは親しい男子生徒3人と一緒にプール倉庫のあたりで話をしていました。
その3人って何者ですか？
個人名は伏せますが、3人ともリュウグウレナととても親しい仲良しグループだったそうです。彼女はこう言ってんだったんですな。
So it wasn't that strange that the four of them were together.
それでどうなったんです？
理由はわかりません。リュウグウレナはプール倉庫脇にあった野球部のバットを手に取り、3人を次々に殴り倒しました。
Just like that. There were no witnesses. And this was an account pieced together by the information given at the time of the incident. One day after school, Rena and three male students were at a pool storage shed talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather, they usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At that time, Rena underwent a change. The change was so abrupt that the three of them didn't comprehend what was happening. Then, taking the metal bat, she attacked her friends one after the other. Leaving her friends covered in blood with gashes on their heads, she made her way towards the school building. Then she broke the glass windows one after the other. A few minutes later, A teacher appeared on scene and subdued her.
レナに起こった変化って何ですか？
3人の証言で一致するのは、突然人が変わった、表変したという点です。
表変。
I also could recall Rena's transformation. I'd seen that change many times before. He was so different from the usual Rena that I couldn't help but believe he was someone else who looked like Rena.
その表変っていうのはたびたびあったことなんですか？
いえ、そういうのは全くなかったそうです。私も調べられる限り、彼女の過去や病歴等を追ってみましたが、見つけることはできませんでした。
So, only from what you found out, that was the first time that something like this ever happened.
そのレナみたいに突然人が変わる現象って結構あるんですか？
もちろんありますよ。精神的なものから性格的なものまでたくさんあります。
ではレナには潜在的に表変する要素があったってことですか？
断言はできません。ですが、リュウグウ・レナをよく知る友人たちからの証言では、とても彼女にそういう要素があるようには思えません。
Kind, caring, and adorable. Even before she transformed here, she was probably pretty popular in school, like she was now. That girl transforming suddenly and assaulting them with a bat. Who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself sometimes believed that I was mistaken for thinking that was Rena. Even now.
そしてどうなったんですか？
学校の正面が病院でしたので、3人はすぐに病院に担ぎ込まれ、手当てを受けました。
レナは、警察はどうして警察沙汰にならなかったんですか？
Well, it was said before, nobody charged like any foul for this. Apparently, they didn't want this to be made public.
警察は呼ばれなければ関与はできませんからね。
一人は後遺症を残すくらい大怪我したんじゃないんですか？どうして訴えないんです？
私もそこは引っかかりました。何かの圧力、もしくは脅迫があったのか、それとも訴えたくても訴えられない理由があったのか。
I mean, you also gotta think of it this way. If it was Hinamizawa, then there would be a pattern of hiding stuff, but this happened outside Hinamizawa. Why would the school and the people hide this?
もちろん大石さんのことですから調べたんですよね。
ねえ、まあ。ですが、初めに言いましたよね。被害者たちの口がとにかく重いのです。触れたがらないというか、関わりたくないというか。
Reluctant to talk. Didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to be involved. He resembled the villagers here in Oyashio-sama's curse. Basically.
学校の先生とかからは何も聞けなかったんですか？
学校は聖域なんですよ。隠蔽体質とでも言いますか。私も捜査令状を取ってませんから弱いんですよね。
じゃあ学校側はノーコメント？
いえ、事件の存在自体を否定しました。ですが某日、間違いなく病院に3人の男子生徒が打撲で担ぎ込まれたのは事実なんです。病院にその記録が残ってますので。
被害者は語らず学校は否定する。何もわからないじゃないですか。
ねえ、その事件があったという事実以上のことは何もわかりません。被害者たちもこの事件が公になることを望んでいませんので、私と前原さん、私たち2人が忘れれば事件はそのまま闇に消えるでしょうな。
For a brief period, we sat in silence. At first glance, it looked like a simple assault case. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. The depths were obscured by rolling waves, sinking quietly into the void, as if it never existed to begin with.
その後、学校を謹慎で休学します。そしてその間、神経科医のカウンセリングを受けました。
その医者からは何か聞けたんですか？
これがまた職業倫理のしっかりした尊敬すべき方でしてね。口が硬いんですよ。もうとにかく。
警察手帳を見せてもダメなんですか？
書面で申請しろと言われました。手帳自体に法的拘束力は何もありませんからね。
じゃあ大石さんはどうやってレナがお社様のことを告白したことを知ったんですか？
一部を聞いてた看護師さんがいましてね。この方は手帳を見せただけで協力してくださいました。
それでなんと？
Turns out that the nurse hadn't heard it. Apparently, all that she remembered was that she overheard from inside the room.
看護師さんが言うには、その時の竜宮レナはとても淡々としていて落ち着いていたそうです。
It was more like she was confessing her sins at church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it, but partway through, her mother was asked to leave. So it became a private counseling session between just the doctor and Rena for a while.
例のお社様の話はどこで出てきたんですか？
途中です。その名前を突然叫んだのです。だから看護師さんもびっくりして聞き耳を立てたのです。
お社様です。
Rena suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what was said before that, so I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor, calmly and collected, asked Rena to have a seat.
そのお社様というのは何ですか？
Gently, ever so gently. A fundamental part of counseling is to be a good patient listener.
Hinamizawaを捨てた人は必ずお社様に追われるんです。そしてとうとう私のところにも来たんです。
竜宮さんが今のお家に引っ越される前に住んでいた町ですね。
私は引っ越したくなかったけど、お母さんとお父さんの都合で仕方なく引っ越しました。でもお社様は許してくれなかったんです。
竜宮さんはきっとhinamizawa沢にもお友達がたくさんいたんでしょうね。今でも懐かしいんじゃないですか？
帰りたい。hinamizawa沢に帰りたい。帰りたいんじゃない。帰らなきゃいけない。本当はもっと早くに帰らなきゃいけなかった。でももうダメ。お社様が来てしまった。
お社様というのはそのhinamizawa沢の神様なんですね。
誰でも知ってるhinamizawa沢の守り神様なんです。それでhinamizawa沢を捨てて出て行こうとすると罰を当てるんです。
竜宮さんが引っ越しをされたのはもうずいぶん前ですよね。では今になってその神様がやってきた。
信じないでしょうけど、お社様はいるんです。
I mean, Oyashiro not wanting you to leave? Unless we're talking about some stuff that happened prior that someone made Oyashiro angry and they left the village, and Oyashiro is like, no, you cannot escape from me without some sort of punishment, right? But I don't know. Like, what if somebody just leaves Hinamizawa because they just want to be free? Oyashiro apparently does not accept that. This Oyashiro sure is strict, not gonna lie. He does not like the freedom of people. He wants them imprisoned in one place, apparently. The nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something, and left the room. That was all she remembered.
お社様がか。
確かにhinamizawa沢にはそういう迷信があります。里を捨てて出ていくとお社様の罰が当たるという。この辺りは前原さんもすでにご存知ですよね。
I knew very well what those scorned by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Then the following year, Satoko's parents, supporters and leading advocates for the dam, were cursed to their death. But this was the first time I've heard of the curse incurred by leaving the village. Yeah, same.
初耳です。村の外敵がたたられるのはわかりますが、どうして出ていく村人まで？普通出ていくものはたたられないものじゃないんですか？
I know it's a bit strange to say it, but I could see it as a rule that the people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Curses weren't something to chase after people that leave, were they? Oishi-san pondered for a bit over on the end of the receiver, then began speaking again. Unless... who knows, like maybe we're talking about the Watanagashi. It is kind of a thing that was explored, like, a while ago. Once you take part in the Watanagashi, now you truly feel like you are part of the village, you know, that you would stay here. So, because of that, if you leave, then it's a big no-no.
ひなみざわが大昔鬼ヶ淵と呼ばれていたという話はしましたよね。
Yeah, I recall hearing that. Long ago, in the distant past, Hinamizawa was feared and respected as the village of demons.
ふもとの村人たちは鬼たちを崇めていました。で、鬼ヶ淵は神聖な土地なので絶対に不可侵。むやみに立ち入るとお社様のたたりがあるとされてきたんです。
Those who set foot in Onigafuchi, in other words, Hinamizawa, would be cursed. I can understand that.
それはわかります。でも出ていくのまでダメってのは。
鬼たちもまたですね。属性に出ていかないようお社様に厳しく見張られていたんだとか。
They were being strictly watched by Oyashiro, so they would not enter into our world. The demons.
つまりお社様ってのは属性と鬼ヶ淵の交流を禁じていたんでしょうな。
I see. If only understood what sort of thing Oyashiro-sama was.
つまりお社様ってのは守り神ってよりも監視者なんですね。この地を外界から隔離しようとする。
そんな感じになるんでしょうな。すみません。私も詳しくないんです。この辺りはばあ様の受け売りでして。
I could understand it a bit better if it was like that. Those who came to Hinamizawa would be cursed, and those who tried to leave would also be cursed. So, because Rena originally lived in Hinamizawa and moved away, she fulfilled the requirements for being cursed.
つまりレナは望まない引っ越しをしたためお社様のたたりにあったと、そう話しているわけですか。
要約するとそういう意味なんでしょうな。実際この後しばらくしてHinamizawaに引っ越していますから。
Those who abandoned Hinamizawa and left were cursed. But then, why only Rena? Shouldn't Rena's parents also have been guilty of the same transgression by moving away and have been cursed? Unless, I guess Oyashiro is being a little bit specific with each person. Maybe the curse on the parents is that their child is being affected by this, which will bring them pain. A different kind of curse, I guess. But besides that, yeah, it's a little bit weird. Also, in this day and age in Japan, shouldn't there be a lot of people coming and going? If every single one of them was cursed, then it'd be the same. Yeah, I mean, for example, Tomitake, though he didn't live in Hinamizawa, but what constitutes as someone who lives in Hinamizawa? Do you need like a house here? Tomitake lived here for like a week, maybe more, and then just goes back to Tokyo or something. Does that constitute as being a part of Hinamizawa? And then once you leave, well, now you're cursed. What about Oishi? He tends to come and go, because he has his own work, like outside Hinamizawa. Is he cursed? Why isn't he being affected by this? Which may actually be a very important point that I may bring up like after this, like at some point. I'm not gonna talk about it like right now. But in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. At most, there will be one person dying and one disappearing on the day of the Watanagashi. I don't like saying at most though.
まあとにかくわからないことだらけなんですよ。親代様のたたりがどうだったにせよ、クラスメートを金属バットで殴った理由にはなりませんし、被害者が訴えない理由にもなりません。まさか前原さんも恐ろしいたたりが起こって被害者たちがすくみ上がったなんてこと信じるわけないですよね。
Of course, I didn't want to believe it. But more importantly, I had just realized something else. There was another bizarre connection that Rena made between Yoshiro-sama's curse and Melbats. Satoshi fell victim to Yoshiro-sama's curse and went missing. I had recently learned that Satoshi had also become infatuated with the metal bat right before he disappeared, just like me. And Rena as well. She was affected by Yoshiro-sama's curse. She confessed that much to the doctor. And the weapon which she had used at the time of that horrendous act was, again, a metal bat. Yeah, you know, when we found that metal bat in the classroom, I was thinking, oh god, this is Rena's bat, isn't it? But then we found out that it is Satoshi's. Well, technically you could say that maybe this is the same bat in the end. Maybe this was originally Rena's bat that he found somewhere, but apparently kept it with her. And then at some point in the past, Satoshi found that metal bat, and I guess it became his to try to hide the fact that that metal bat was used by Rena in the past. So they are saying that it was Satoshi's, which no doubt he used as well, but it wasn't technically his. He didn't buy it himself. Maybe he found it and didn't know that it was Rena's. But yeah, if you were to think of it like that, there is something to that metal bat. Like, I don't know, maybe that instant at school with Rena, that was the beginning with that metal bat. But what if there was something even before that? That the metal bat was used on something horrific even before Rena? Like, it's an endless thing. And finally, me. I'd encountered various things that were inexplicable, and now I was holding onto a metal bat. I was shocked when I learned that Satoshi did the same thing. It couldn't be. The same thing happened to Rena? But there was one critical difference between her and Satoshi's case. That being, Satoshi went missing after falling victim to the curse. Rena? Yeah, she was still here. Both of them had fallen victim to Yoshiro-sama's curse, yet they were met with different endings. And finally, me. I couldn't call it a coincidence anymore. Rena, Satoshi, and finally, me. Could it be that I was really under Yoshiro-sama's curse right now? No. More importantly than that, what should I do now? Satoshi had been demoned away, vanishing without a trace. Rena was fine. Fine? No, Rena had undergone a change. I can only believe that there was something that wasn't Rena residing within her. And here, right now, he was standing before me.
Rena, 教えてくれ。
Yeah, excuse us for a little bit. We were recollecting some stuff there for like 10 minutes or so. Now we're back.
俺はどうなるんだよ。
Rena stood imposingly, not answering.
サトシは消えた。だけどレナは消えなかった。じゃあ俺はどうなるんだよ。
I had never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. It had become akin to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling.
大丈夫だよ。レナが助けてあげるから。
Rena took one step forward, still holding the hatchet high above her head.
さあ、
One step closer. Rena's face spread out to fill my vision.
話して。
One step closer. Rena's nose was close enough to touch mine. It was still pushing closer.
話したいことがあるんだよね。レナが聞いてあげる。助けてあげるから。ね。話してね。話してね。
I slumped down, letting Squirrely on my butt. It wasn't for some pathetic reason. It was all I could do to get as far away from Rena. I had the gut feeling that I couldn't let her laughter end. Because when that laughing ended, the moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang to my feet so fast even I couldn't believe it, and pushed Rena away with both hands. When it was as light as a feather, thrown above by the unbalanced weight of the hatchet, she was sent backwards as if she had been carried off by the wind. After confirming that out of the corner of my eye, I dashed off at full speed. It was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. Get away from Rena. Run away. Survive. I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remembered I'd been holding onto a bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I can't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. I sped even farther down the winding path. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath on my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. If I didn't run away from here, I wouldn't live. I could hear the laughter of that simulacrum of Rena coming from behind me. It rang through the trees and in my head, and slowly chiseled away at my sanity. The grove of the trees thinned out, my field of vision suddenly expanding. What was this? Great, this place. For a moment I was bewildered by the scenery I felt I knew but couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized. It was the damn site. The fact that I dashed madly in another place like this gave me a bad feeling. Like I was following someone's scripted plot. Going into Rena's territory a little bit, I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. This was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting, and the muscles of my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then they might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back, looking for an excuse to rest. Rena wasn't there. Instead, I saw 2 villagers walking around. 2 villagers? I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Rena, but a third party. Except, the voice inside me rang the alarm once again. Villagers walking around weren't suspicious in and of themselves, but it bothered me. They both wore rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they definitely gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But at this time of day, 2 adults wandering around without a purpose. It was enough to raise questions. Wait, don't tell me... But more than anything else, those eyes. They weren't chit-chatting or walking. They were silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Was I at the end of my rope, and finally started imagining things? Should run away. That was probably the best choice. God. Unless it's both Rena and Mion. That or, surprise, surprise, it is Miyotaka no and Tomitake. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. If they are part of the group after me, then they would come running after me. Either way, unless I hurried up, Rena would catch up with me. That's right. I was going to run. Deciding that, the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me, as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me, I had jumped to the conclusion that Rena was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made the assumption that I didn't need fear or anything else. But right now, I realized just how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly, the story Oishi-san told me about the demons all leaving the village to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. Yeah, there's that. I could tell that they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frenetic footsteps. It was frightening, being unable to shake Rena off as she slowly closed in on me. But this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, the straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuer's arms grazed my shoulder. Now it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distinct sound of their breathing that I could hear. Okay, so it's not somebody that Keiichi recognizes. It is just two people from the village. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were all already right behind me. Calm down, Keiichi, my brother. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, I felt like time itself had stopped. Oh. I turned my head back slightly in that frozen world, realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. And I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. Less than the time it would take to blink twice, when this frozen time began moving again, they'd be right on top of me. On top of me. And then? Don't think about that, Keiichi. First, realize that you won't be able to shake them off like this. But the fact that you cannot get away was a given. You need to make a decision. Go with the right leg, or go with the left. You just need to decide which one. Oh, are we gonna start attacking right now? Let's go with the left. The moment I decided that, the temporal singularity burst into pieces. Right. Left! I swung the bat in a wide arc with my right arm. Using then inertia, I stopped and suddenly spun.
No!
The two of them were clearly startled. Momentarily losing sight of me, both their outstretched arms, ready to grab me, instead grasped at the empty space. The man on the right, I applaud him being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I shouldn't have been, and faced me in astonishment. But it was too late. I didn't even need to swing my bat. All I needed to do was extend my arms as I turned around. It's by no means a heavy blow. It seemed like it had enough power behind him to knock him off his feet. Alright. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. We then took a fighting stance and were ready to face me. This made me certain they weren't just two people out for a walk. They were clearly after me. Alright. Well, bring it on. Demons. It felt much easier than dealing with Rena. Just by not recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I smiled wryly on the inside.
俺に何か用かよ。次は眉間にお見舞いするぞ、この野郎。
It's fine if it was just a bluff, but by barking out at them, I was able to fire myself up. They didn't respond. They spread out to the other side of me with unbelievably calm expressions on their faces. One of them would grab onto my bat and the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Then I'd just have to settle it with the first move. I'd step in and strike the first one down. Narrowing my target down to the man on the right who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it. It would cause immense damage. If they block it with their arm, their bone would snap like a twig. If they turned their back to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way to their vital organs. It looked like he was aware of this. He pushed farther through the kill zone between us, and delivered a fist right into my gut. Not good. With this distance, in this position and in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. The world flipped upside down, I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a sound. Feeling the grainy soil press against my face. Okay, well, thank God it's not the rocks. It didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain coming from the abrasions on my skin, as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upwards, flooding my mouth with a bitter sensation. Oh God. I knew very well that I didn't have the time to relish this experience. I stood up as quickly as I could, but at that moment, the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend caught me that I simply couldn't dodge it, and made it all the more upsetting. After plunging into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around me behind me, and locked his thick arm around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. Oh God. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled, or that I was about to go unconscious. My vision simply darkened and the sound of the whining noise began playing deep inside my mind. Oh God, Keiichi. It took everything I had to keep myself from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. There was nothing I could do now. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run. I couldn't fight back. Dire straits. I couldn't even come up with a phrase that inadequately described my situation.